you have a choice of positive, negative, or no correlation. If you look at this and you kind of ignore this dot here, you can see that this is going down. So this is a negative association. This one is clearly a negative association. This one's no association. It's all over the place. This one's positive. And this one is also positive. Questions about any of these? No? Now, it says for each direction determine the thing. It says, so this one's for A. It wants, is it positive or negative? This is positive. It's going up. For the next one, it is negative. And for number 3, we already talked about this one. It rises 2 and goes over 1, but it's not just 2, it's 10 because it's counting by 5. So it goes up 10 and over 1. So the slope of this line is simply 10. And you can check that out just by going, well, crosses there and crosses there. It goes up 10 and over 1. The y-intercept is right here in the corner, which means it's 0. The equation we would then write would be y equals 10x. And then this says, based on the average rate of pay, the trend line after 3 hours, how much money would you expect to make? There's 2 ways to do it. You could just plug in 3 for x and do 3 times 10, which would give you 30. And the other way to do it would be to just go to 3 and see like, oh, it crosses right there at 30. Person H and I both make the same amount, but for different hours. Which statement is true? H makes the same amount working 1 hour less. That means that he has to make more money. So H makes more money per hour than I. And then it says, which of the following people work the most hours? You can see that if you go to 5, it's K. And then you look at this one here. It says, which data set is labeled on the x-axis? X is always the bottom, so it's time spent studying. It says, which one's the y-axis? It says score on tests. What is the lowest score on the test? We can see it's 50. It says, which student scored the highest? If you go and look, both H and J both scored the highest. So H and J. And then it said which student scored the lowest. You can see that B scored 50. Student B scored 50. And it says for the students that studied 0 hours, what were their individual scores? 0 hours. 50, 60, 80. 50, 60, 80. For the last one, it says for the trend line, what is the slope? It crosses right here and again here. This is trying to trick you to get you to put 1 over 1, but in reality it goes up 10 because it's counting by tens and over 1. So the slope of this would be 10 over 1, which reduces to simply 10. What is the y-intercept? Well, right there's the y-axis, so it crosses at 50. What's the equation then? It would be y equals 10x plus 50. And it says, based on the trend line, if you study 1 hour, what would you expect your grade to be? 1 hour, go straight up, 60. You can also plug in 1 for x. You get 10 times 1 is 10, plus 50 is 60. So that's 2 ways to find that. And then part C says, based on the trend line, if you studied 2 hours, what would you expect your grade to be? Well, go to 2, go straight up, 70. Part D says, based on the trend line, if you studied 4 hours, what would your grade expect to be? Go to 4, go straight up. You can see it's K. Go across, it's 90. And then you should be able to click submit, and you should get a perfect score. Any questions over this? You have a test that's going to cover this same type of material tomorrow. It'll be similar questions. One question type that's on there that's not is it'll say something like if a person is slowly running, like they're starting to pick up speed, right? And they're trying to get to a location by a certain time, is the time increasing and the speed increasing at the same time? Yeah, because time's still going to go, right? So that's increasing, and they're picking up speed. So that means that they're both increasing, which means that it has a positive relationship. However, let's say your bank account and you spending money, right? Every time you spend money, your bank account's going down. So that would have a negative correlation. So it's going to give you some options. If one's going up and the other's going down, that's negative. If they're both going up, that's positive.